Good morning. On behalf of the University of Wyoming College of Law and the Wyoming Law Review, I'm pleased to welcome you to the C.J. Box Symposium today. I'm Julie Hill. I'm the Dean of the University of Wyoming College of Law. And before we get to the symposium, which I know we're all really excited about, I want to tell you just a little bit about the Law Review. The Wyoming Law Review is a student-edited academic journal. Nearly every law school has a law review. Many law schools have more than one law review, but we just have one because it's that great. These law reviews are the primary publishers of academic legal writing. The law review students spend hours and hours selecting and editing law review articles to make a quality publication. Courts and judges sometimes look at law review articles when they make decisions, especially when they're considering emerging areas of the law or questions that are particularly thorny. Earlier this year, Adam Feldman, an expert in legal data and analytics, prepared a ranking of law reviews measured by citations in court cases between 2019 and 2023. Of all the law reviews in the country, the Wyoming Law Review sits in 8th place. And just for context, that puts us just behind Harvard and Yale and just ahead of Stanford. So you are going to get to see the quality of these students' work firsthand, but they're truly extraordinary students. The symposium today is something that I've been thinking about for at least 8 years, since I attended a similar symposium featuring the author John Grisham. Now, there's nothing wrong with John Grisham. He's a lawyer, and I really like all of his books, and lots of people like his books, and he did a great job with the symposium. But I couldn't help but think about how it would be so much fun to do a similar symposium with C.J. Box books. At that time, Free Fire, a C.J. Box book, had just come out, and we'll get to hear more about it a little later today. But this is a book where a Wyoming game warden, Joe Pickett, is investigating some murders in Yellowstone, and one of the issues in the books relates to jurisdictional issues about this remote stretch of land up in Idaho. In the acknowledgement of that book, Mr. Box thanks Brian Kalt for his Georgetown Law Review article about the same jurisdictional issue. And I was just so incredibly jealous. Now this is one of my life goals, to inspire a C.J. Box book with my academic writing. I don't know of any other fictional works that are inspired by law review articles, but it certainly made me think that we needed to find a way to connect Box's books with legal scholarship. Even before Free Fire, I had linked C.J. Box books and academic writing in my mind. The Box books come out every year toward the end of February, and that's right after the law review submission cycle. So it's been my practice for many years that I would get my own article done, I would send it out, and only then would I allow myself to read the latest Box book. And part of the reason that I love those books is because they transport me back, or I guess now that I'm here, to Wyoming and the West. To me, they capture not just the landscape of the West, but also the characters and issues of Wyoming. And so today we're going to hear about several of these Western issues, from endangered species to corner crossings. But Box's books also highlight a tension in the law that is broader than any particular legal issue. So the Pickett series features two prominent characters. One is Joe Pickett, the game warden, and the other is his good friend, Nate Romanowski. Through these two characters, Box nicely illustrates the sometimes tension between the rule of law and justice. Joe's generally a by-the-books game warden with deep respect for the rule of law. For example, he once wrote the governor of Wyoming a citation for fishing without a license. I see a former governor back there. I'm sure he always had a fishing license. But Joe's talking about this with one of the new recruits to the Game and Fish Department And the new recruit suggests that Joe should have been fired because surely he should have just given him a warning or looked the other way. And Joe responds that he should have lost his job if he didn't write him a ticket. And he further explains, I really believe that there's nothing wrong with doing your best and doing the right thing. He clearly believes in the rule of law. Nate, on the other hand, has something of a different moral code. And in the book Winterkill, he explains it this way. He says, I believe in right and wrong. I believe in justice. I believe in my country. It's the bureaucrats, the lawyers, and the legal process I have a problem with. As the book Below Zero explains, Joe's friend Nate Romanowski, the fugitive falconer, has always maintained that often there is a difference between justice and the law, and Joe has always disagreed with that sentiment. He still did. And so I hope that as you think about the particular legal issues that we're going to talk about today, I hope you'll also take just a few minutes to think about the rule of law. I hope you'll think about what happens when notions of justice diverge from the rule of law. And I hope you'll think about what we as attorneys and prospective attorneys can do to build support for the rule of law and credibility for legal processes and systems. Finally, I want to point out that the University of Wyoming is the ideal place to hold this CJ Box Symposium. By my count, there are at least 4 characters with degrees from the University of Wyoming College of Law in CJ Box books, and they are all good folks. But there is another more complicated character, Coulter Allen, and he is described as, quote, having the Yale Law School stain on his record, unquote. So I know that there's at least one person with the same stain, and we're going to be nice to him here today. But I want Mr. Box to know that I've officially designated him the marketing department for the College of Law. And I appreciate that. So speaking of thank yous, I want to offer just a few before we begin. First, I want to thank the students of the Wyoming Law Review. They've all done a terrific job, and you're going to get to see just how much work they've put in here today. I want to thank all of the presenters who are joining us here today. So we have academics from across the country, practitioners from Wyoming, some falconers, and of course, last but certainly not least, Chuck Box, whose work has inspired people throughout the world to learn more about the West and Western legal issues. So sit back, enjoy the symposium, but don't relax too much because you never know when things are about to get Western. Go Pokes!